I've tried a lot of different ones, and I have wound up giving them away or pouring them out.
Hey, now I never got any of those. Hello and welcome for the very first time to Bourbon Theory. I'm Josh,
I'm Bill.
and today we're going to tell you a little bit what our channel is going to be about, some things that we believe in as far as bourbon and whiskey goes, and hopefully inform you guys a little bit about what you're going to see coming in the future.
Yeah, and we welcome you here. Of course, we're father and son.
Now, if you couldn't tell,
Yeah,
one of us is a little darker than the other,
just a bit. I tend to be outside quite a bit.
and I tend to be stuck in a car.
We are in the foothills of North Carolina, so we're in an ABC controlled state. Uh, we'll talk about that. A lot of people think that's a bad thing. I, for one, don't think so. But again, we'll talk about that in future videos. We are a family, and you are going to hear some things in our videos. In fact, we've got three of our four-legged family members in the barn here with us.
So if you hear any rustling or whining or anything like that, please do excuse us.
Click clacking
as they walk across the floor.
As they walk along the concrete floor here. So you're going to hear some things, and you may hear us refer to them on occasion,
or scold them for doing something wrong,
or thank them for doing something right. So,
well, to start out, let's tell you guys a little bit about our history. I'll go first because my section should be a whole lot shorter. My bourbon journey started relatively recently. I'd say in the last 18 months, I kind of really got into it. I have been sort of around it my entire life, more so in the last probably 15, 20 years than before. My dad is a collector, and he'll tell you more about that. But as far as I go and my preferences in bourbon, I prefer sweeter. That's maybe just my younger palate, not used to the spicier or oakier flavors in some bourbon. But I'm really looking forward to having our differences of opinion show on the channel.
Mm-hmm. So Josh says I'm a collector. I don't like that word. I do have quite a few bottles, and I have been buying them over a fairly large number of years. But I'm also a drinker. So I'm not a drunker, but I'm a drinker.
A collective drinker.
I drink because I like the flavor, and that's really what it is. I don't drink for a buzz. I don't drink for that type of thing. I drink because I like the flavor. I like to pick up the nuances of the flavor. I like to try different things to a certain level. There are certain things, and I've tried them, but I've almost never, like, for example, this will come up in later videos. I'm sure Josh is going to try to force me into some things.
Going to get him outside of his comfort zone
that I will tell you right up front I won't like, and then he's going to try to sway my opinion. But finished bourbons, for example, he swayed me just about a month ago into one that I'm sure we'll talk about. But I've tried a lot of different ones, and I have wound up giving them away or pouring them out.
Hey, now I never got any of those.
Well, you were young at the time, and I didn't want to start you out like I did. So
we'll keep it legal.
I've been drinking for the last 45 to 48 years, and so I started before it was legal, as many people did. But I was born and raised in Kentucky, so I like to say I've got it in my blood. Literally, it's in my blood. And I had some family that was in the industry, not deeply in the industry. They weren't distillers. They weren't, in the high hierarchy of the distilling industry or anything like that. But they did work for a major distillery, and so we'll get into that in future a bit.
Maybe even have some of them come visit and be on the channel.
Yeah, that I don't know. They're up there in years, but I would like to have that.
Visit then.
Yeah, I would like to have that at a point. So but I am a bit, as Josh would say, probably a curmudgeon, but set in my ways on things. You'll find that I will lean toward the early bourbons, and Josh, he knows a lot more about the new stuff. I didn't keep up with it. There's been so much stuff that's been coming out recently And some of it I did because I tend to follow master distillers, and I follow what happens to them when they leave a major distillery and they move on somewhere else. Yeah, that was one of the dogs. As they move from one and they move on somewhere else and they move into different avenues as maybe a consultant or something like that. Because I believe as they do that, then they take what they know and they move into that, and they really can bring out some great products as they do that. And
Absolutely.
I think Old Elk is a great example of that, of what we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years coming out from Old Elk with Greg Metz. So I think that's a great example of the old. You're really influencing the new. Not to say that Greg's old.
Definitely more of a Kentucky style traditional bourbon drinker on this side.
Absolutely.
And I'm a little bit more open to trying newer things. Not that you're not open, but
Right.
if you had it your way, you'd never pour anything that wasn't from Kentucky, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, maybe not. I'm open to Indiana. I mean, as long as it's not too far across the river. But yeah, a bit of a purist. Now, I don't believe that bourbon can only come from Kentucky, because that's not true. But I do think that the water influences. I think that the filtration influences. I think that the weather influences. So I think all of those things have an influence on what happens with it. I know that where we are here, the some of the corn that's grown here is actually shipped to Kentucky. A great amount of the corn is grown right within a couple of miles of where I live, is shipped to Kentucky, to some of the distilleries there, and used in their bourbons. Now, I can tell you economically, I look at that and I go, that really doesn't make any sense to me. I know that they could grow that same exact corn there and not pay the shipping costs on it, but that's up to them. It's what they do. So it just doesn't make economic sense to me, to do that. But anyway,
Very, very set in the way as far as Kentucky bourbon goes. The way they've been doing it is the way they're going to continue to do
I
it.
like the history. I love the history.
Absolutely.
And
Big
speaking
history
of that,
buff here.
I've been on the Bourbon Trail. I've been to the distilleries. There are some that have opened or been reopened. And again, it's the history part that I really love. Castle and Key is on my list to go to after they redid that distillery. So watch for us.
Yes, we're
We'll be
doing
there.
a
We'll be there in October.
bourbon trail trip at the end of October.
This will be Josh's first opportunity to
very
go.
first time.
So I'm looking forward to taking him there. One of the first ones I wanted to be able to go to. It didn't work out with the scheduling just because of dates and times and things, but I wanted to take him to Woodford as one of the first ones, because I think Woodford, based on my past experience, has one of the best tasting experiences when I was there last, of all of the distilleries. So I wanted to get him into that early on, so he's not just influenced by me and my tasting notes and my tasting experience, that he was able to develop on his own. He already is, but I wanted him to get that influence from someone else or many others as he develops his taste. The other thing that you'll find with me, I think Josh mentioned it a minute ago, but I like the spicier bourbons. I like the rye. I didn't start out that way. I started off liking more wheated than anything else, but I developed into liking the rye. I do like high proof better than I like low proof.
And so do I.
The real thing is that you can't add proof to a bourbon. If it's a low proof, it's a low proof. Not saying that there aren't some good low proof sippers out there, but you can always add a little water to a high proof bourbon to get it down, to get it into your sweet spot. So you can't add proof to get it up to your sweet spot. So that's a little bit about me.
A lot of bit about you, I think.
Are you saying I'm loquacious?
A little bit.
Hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you may have to look that up later.
So the next point we wanted to hit is kind of our mission statement, what we're out to do, and sort of our collection of thoughts on what we wanted to set out with. And I think the first thing is about open and honesty. So we want to make sure that we are keeping our opinions as fresh as can be, as honest as can be, So if we don't like something, we're going to tell you. If we love something, we're going to tell you. We're going to be as uncut and unfiltered as some of our favorite bourbons are. So,
Yes.
and you can mention some things about that as well.
Yeah. So we will, like Josh said, we'll be uncut and unfiltered. If we like it, we're going to tell you we like it. We'll tell you why we like it. If we don't like it, we're going to tell you that too. But we won't make a snap decision on something. Anyone can have an off palate night, an off palate day. So don't judge. We won't judge something on one pour. We'll go back to it. We'll revisit it after a day, 2 days, maybe a week, whatever it may be, whenever our timing allows for the two of us to be together or whatever. Because I've done it before, and I've kind of written something off after one, and then went, you know what? I like everything else from that distillery. Why is that one I don't like? Let me go back and try it again. And when I did, I found out that I was just having an off palate night. So turned out it was a bourbon that I did like. So that's kind of the reasoning for that. Now, if we hit it the second time and we don't like it, we're going to tell you we don't like it.
And we might even pour it down the drain on video.
Yes, or into a bucket. So that's the long and short of how we'll be. We don't cater to anyone. We're not being sponsored as of now.
We would be very open to.
Yeah, we don't. We're not expecting it necessarily. So, but I think we're probably open to it.
Absolutely.
But we're not actively seeking anything out there. So,
I think our most important thing that I think we want to make sure we get across is that we are being communicative with our audience. And we want to make sure that things that we're doing are things that they want to see.
Yes.
If we're not doing something right and we have an overwhelming majority of opinion that says we shouldn't be doing X, Y, or Z, we're probably going to stop doing X, Y, or Z.
Or we might not, because
he's very stuck in his ways.
Yeah. But we do want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
So we do want to hear back from you. Send us your comments. Send us if there's something you want to see, let us know. If there's something you want to see tried, let us know. There's a better than average chance that if it's something older, I may have it.
Already up there.
And we probably have it in the queue that we're planning to do a review on it, and we can move it around if it's something that the consensus is they'd like to see it, maybe see it earlier, something like that. So we expect that we'll surprise you with some of the things we have. And by the way, anything that we show you will be bought off the shelf.
No secondary market.
If it's something that was gifted to us, shared with us, we'll tell you that. But any of the things that you see that are rare, I will tell you I bought them off the shelf, and I'm proud of that fact. You'll see Elmer T. Lee, you'll see Rock Hill Farms, you'll see some different things that you'll just see that were bought off the shelf. You'll see some antique stuff that I bought out of basements, in different places, possibly a couple of places that were out of collections, but they weren't necessarily bought at secondary. So they were just friends of family or friends of friends or something like that knew that I drank bourbon and liked bourbon and knew it's something that I'd be interested in. So there's only a couple of instances like that.
Definitely have a huge library to
Yes.
run through as far as our stock.
So if you like what you've heard so far, then hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and
leave us a comment. I'm sure there are going to be suggestions rolling through from this video.
Sure.
So please let us know what's your favorite bourbon, what's your favorite everyday sipper. Let us know those things, and we'll hopefully try and get that kind of thing mixed into our channel.
And I'm totally, in the dark about how all this stuff works, but I assume that YouTube's got a lot of people that sit at desks and things. And so whenever you hit that thing and you want to be notified, that there must be thousands of people there that if we post a video, they must send you guys something to notify you. I mean, I don't know. Josh talks about putting something up that our next video, what it's going to be about, or referring to something. And I think it just happens. So you'll hear me say it. And I'll go, yep, that'll be on the screen. And I guess it just happens.
Unfortunately, that'll be my job to go in and post and make that happen. So it is magic for him.
For me. And that's what's important.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We hope to surprise you in the future and become maybe one of your one-stop shops or favorite stops for any and all bourbon content. So, would you like to hit your outro for the first time?
Well, so here's what I'll give you a promise of. Our videos will get better, just like bourbon, with time.
Take care of yourselves.